Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 710. My name is Eric Nilsson, and with me today, I have my favorite co-host, Corey Romero. Today is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. Corey, how you doing today?
Eric, I'm doing great.
Things are you're in a Broadcom office there.
I am. Look at that.
Look at that. Where are you?
Every day. I'm in the Draper, Utah office.
Draper, Utah. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I absolutely love coming into the office.
Yeah, it's funny because when we first started doing it, I was kind of like, oh no, here we go. I'm going to force myself to go into the office. But I think it only took me 6 months to get used to it.
Day one, it was good. I was like, this is refreshing. It's been too long.
Yeah, for me, I had a bad what I'd call cube environment, right, or office environment. Like I didn't like where I was sitting, and I didn't like the area that I was sitting in was super quiet, and so you had to be super quiet. But now I've moved, and I'm next to Jory. You know Jory,
oh,
right?
Yeah, Jory. Yeah,
Jory's right now. We share the same area, and then Rebecca Moreland is now in our area, and another guy, John, who's pretty cool. Is my area. So I think it makes a difference. Like if you get people populated around yourself that you really like and are at the same noise level, then it's a lot of fun. So I go to work every day now, right? And it's not a problem. Yeah. I like one, so it's good. On the show today, we're going to be talking about, we'll get to the weather report, but on the show, we're going to be talking about the 2025 community event calendar, right? There's a lot going on this year between UserCons and the Connect event for VMUG, and then the Explore event, plus some events in Europe, CTAB events that are happening. There's just a big event calendar this year that we thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about. So wanted to kick the 2025 season off with talking about all the events that are happening and, talk a little bit about the content in. So if you're a content creator, and we'll talk about the vExpert apps and what does it mean to be a vExpert these days, and some of that. We'll talk a little bit about content creating and how to get content in and what we're going to be trying to do with that to help you build more content, get more exposure. Some of the things we're doing 2025 are things that I think we've kind of ignored for the last few years. So I think it's going to be good. We'll talk through being a content producer, what the content calendar looks like, what the event calendar looks like, and on the show, we have Julia Klaus, who manages communicating with most of the community members to get content in either into Explore or on the podcast, on some of the blogs. So we have Julia Klaus here today to talk through what does it mean to be a content producer. But before we do that, Corey, we will do the color of the bay. It is bright and clear in California, in Silicon Valley, in Palo Alto, but it is cold. It is like 30 degrees in the morning, which I know for a lot of you guys are in the snow. Brad Tompkins from Tennessee showed me his barbecue, and it had like 3 or 4 inches of snow on it on Saturday, right? But for us, it's chilly. 30 degrees means that the garden froze and everything died that was left over in California. My last set of tomatoes had to get harvested off of that, and it's crisp during the day. But we got the California sun, so as long as you're outside in the sun, it feels great. But you do have to have the heat on. So that's it. Corey, how's it up in Utah?
It's been snowing on and off, real lightly. Nothing heavy this year so far, but it has been cold and windy. And windy is kind of unusual for where I'm at. It's usually just cold, but not very windy unless we've got a storm coming in. But it's been in the 20s, low 30s. Yeah,
it is. The wind, obviously, we should do a shout out to everybody in LA that's dealing with the fires. I know that Frankie and our team was down in LA last weekend, and he was kind of stuck there. And I think that I feel bad for everybody that's down there, and I feel bad for the wind it's doing that. But we have had wind here as well, and so it's just been a windy season. And man, in California, if a fire gets going, it can happen anywhere, right? I mean, Alan Roof's house burned down 5-6 years ago. We had our moment in the Bay Area. Now LA's having their moment, but just on a scale that's just unbelievable when you look at the firestorm. So I feel bad for everybody down there. And I know at VMware we are doing some help work. We had all hands this morning where our CMO came and talked to us about what they're doing. I can't remember everything they said, but they said if we needed help, or if we knew anybody that needed help specifically, please bring it to our attention and we'll see what we can do. So because everybody's got some people that they might know down there that's been infected. So feeling bad for them. Yep.
Even for applications, we're taking that into consideration, right? If you've got a web server running in LA that's not up, we've told all the vExpert pros to kind of look for that kind of stuff and take that into consideration as well.
Yeah, well, that's a good transition. So let's talk about that. So vExpert applications are open.
Yeah, open until the 24th at 5 o'clock Pacific time.
Nice. I know that
Eric, I lost your audio.
You lost your audio, Eric. Nothing.
All right, that's better.
There we go.
Yeah, whole thing turned off. I think I hit a cable. Yeah, so apps are open. I know that we're going forward with the experts as always, right? Things have changed. I think we've looked at some of the numbers response in, right? So I think there were some categories of people leaving the experts. Maybe we should just talk about that for a moment. What are the three categories that you see why people aren't being the experts this year versus previous years?
Yeah, so some of the categories are, one, EUC. As most people know, Broadcom sold off EUC, so we had a lot of vExperts that specialized in just EUC, and so they've moved on since Broadcom's not.
Right.
Not
and really, they haven't moved on
EUC
as
program.
evangelists, right? They just moved on to. I think Omnissa has its own
Right. Yeah.
that they're running on their own, and so a lot of those people just migrated to that program.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant when I say moved on. Right. So we've seen some of that. We've also seen a lot of people coming into retirement. They're just retiring and no longer participating in creating content anymore. They're just retiring from their jobs and vExpert. I've gotten quite a few emails from people.
That's interesting in that a lot of us joined VMware. They hired a lot of 40-year-olds, right? That were either from Sun Microsystems. I know a lot of people came to VMware because VMware was ramping up hiring when Sun Microsystems, fell apart and got purchased by Oracle. And a lot of us had, computer science experience, right? Operating system experience. Yep. And so a lot of people came over in the ecosystem, in field SEs, a lot of that. And now they're 60 years old, right? Maybe 60, 65. Yeah. And this is one of those events where the Broadcom purchase might just be one of those things that you go, hey, you know what? It's time to hang up the spurs and go relax for the rest of your life. And so I can imagine that's the case. Some of us, I'm still here, but some of us have had that conversation of, when is enough, right? Do you love your job? Yes, but then that. So I could see this being one of those moments, right? As an evangelist, IT guy, this might be the thing that pushes you over the edge to where you just decide to hang things up.
Yep, absolutely.
Was there another category?
Yeah, there's the third category is people were just upset with Broadcom, right? And a lot of it was rumors, a lot of it was speculation, and so there's some of that left over.
Yeah, sure. I think that we've always identified there was going to be a third of the people that were not in love with Broadcom, right? A third love them, a third are neutral, and then a third do not love them. And if you're an evangelist and you don't love the company that you're being an evangelist for, then I can see where you're just like, I'm going to take some time off, right? Or maybe never do it again, right? So that's interesting. At the same time, I still think there's new administrators, there are new people that are joining the ranks. There's new areas, customers. Do you still work with the Expert Pros to look for, recruitment of new evangelists or training new evangelists?
Yeah, we actually had a quarterly meeting this morning with the Expert Pros, and we talked about that, and we shared various ways on how to do that. Right. So, myself at VMware Explore, I met 7 people who were blogging or had podcasts or were creating videos on VMware technology that had no idea what a vExpert was. And so, I put them into the program right there on the spot. I looked at what they did, and they had plenty of content, and put them right in. So that's one thing is people aren't aware of the program, right? And so that we talked about that on the call, and on how to spread the awareness. More people talking about it at VMUG conferences. And then another thing I identified is creating an application to go look for blog articles and find the authors and so we can go find some new bloggers for the Expert program. People who are doing the work that just don't know about the program.
Yeah, I think there's some of that. Also, we're talking about what does it mean to be a blogger? How are the RSS streams? Are we promoting people's blogs? Do they see value in that, and will they recognize value when we do that promotion for them? So I think that's something we're going to look at 2025 as well, right? So
and we do three types of promotion for content, just for everybody's feedback. One is the RSS stream, 2 is the advocacy program, and then 3 is retweeting and sharing from my personal LinkedIn and the professional vExpert Twitter handle. And so there's multiple ways that we do share content.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Well, apps are open, and I don't think that we're seeing a collapse in numbers, right? I mean, you still have 1,200 applications in the system right now.
1,300 now. Yeah, 1,300.
Yeah. So but from a standpoint of how many would we normally get? I think we would normally see a couple thousand, right? So
we would typically see 2,800 to 3,200. Yeah.
Right. Depending on what year and where we were post-COVID, I felt like it was in the 2000s. Right. We lost a bunch. I think we're at max 3,000 pre-COVID. COVID happened and people backed off being evangelists because they were stuck in their home. Right.
Right.
Should be interesting. The other thing that I'm finding interesting, which, just as long as we're talking about this before we get to Julia, and we'll transition to Julia here in another minute or two, is there is a certain amount of absorption of VCF, right? So I've been doing my VCF training, right? I've done the vSphere install management config training. I did the vSANS install management config training. I'm doing the NSX install management config training. And if you follow me on Twitter at all, you'll see that I'm tweeting every other day or two what I learned and some of the challenges I have. And so I think there is, and I know a lot of VMUG people are doing the same thing. We're offering a discount on the VCP-VCF certification test. We're also, I think VMUG is going to try to also give away some free test vouchers. So we're transitioning the home lab program to, hey, go learn about the VCF stack, go pass your tests, then get your home lab. And I've also been working with William Lamb around what kind of NUC do you need to run a full VCF stack, right? Like, because you actually need, now that I've been through the training, right? We think there's a minimum of 9 ESX servers to run the full VCF stack, right? I count 11, but other people can do it in 9, depending on how many features you want. Do you want high availability? Do you want RAID 5 across your storage? There's things you have to do, but minimum 7 to 9 ESX servers need to be running on whatever host. Well, that means if you're going to put it on a NUC, it means you're going to have to nest it, right? So you're going to put an ESX down, then you're going to put a bunch of ESX servers on top of that ESX, right? And how many ESX servers can you run? And you need a minimum of 500 gig to a terabyte of available storage. You have to do memory tiering in order to be, even make that work, right? So you do memory tiering, so that way if you have these 9 ESX servers, you can have 5 of them just be memory tiered, which means they're not even in memory. They're just out on storage, while it's kind of like caching, but it's a little bit different. So you got to do memory tiering, but we are looking at like what's the minimum cost for a NUC at home. And I'm actually taking one of the old NUCs, and I'm going to see if I can jack it up to, make it run VCF. So there is this transitioning learning that we're all doing around VCF. And then also that means that being an evangelist around the product set, which is now really VCF, you got some Tanzu, you have some ANS, which is now VeloCloud, and VeloCloud really is in our ecosystem. So you're really talking Tanzu and core VCF, which is NSX, vSAN, vSphere, and then ARIA automation, right? So, and then Tanzu. So that's what you've got to blog about. And I think everybody's digesting that and then looking at what kind of content to build. So I think the content roadmap will also be a little bit different. And the same.
Once you figure out how what the bare minimum is to run the full stack, let me know what that is, because I was editing the welcome email for vExperts for the awards yesterday, and we have a blurb of that, right, where we had the old NUC and we had a minimum cost and all that. And since things have changed, I want to make sure that we update that correctly and
there is still a way to get vSphere, right? There is still a way.
Yeah.
You can pass the VVF certification, and you get a free vSphere for your home lab.
Right.
So technically, you can still get a vSphere and run it. But really, we're trying to encourage everybody to do the whole stack, right?
Exactly.
VCF. So yeah, I will absolutely publish that, and we're hoping to have some labs at the Connect event that'll do exactly this, right? Like we're hoping to be at the April Connect event with code labs that will allow you to put VCF on the minimum NUC definition. So that's why we're working on that right now, and we're hoping to have that all pinned down by the end of the month. So okay, so enough of that. Great to hear the experts are out there. Know that we're transitioning. We are working on, what does it mean to be expert, and how does this program change as we target, VCF full stack, contributions. So cool stuff. Julia Klaus, welcome to the show. We'll, we always bring people in. You're here to talk about, what's actually happening with the events throughout the year and how that works. So first off, though, give us the elevator pitch. How long have you been at VMware? You're on our team. What do you work on these days? You're muted, I think.
Oh, yes, you go.
There we go.
Thanks for having me again. I think it has been maybe the third time I'm here. I feel like I'm getting a bit better on being on a camera. But yes, I have been with VMware since 2017, when I started as right before VMware Explore 2017. I always work in content, streaming for the VMware Explorer by the time. And my role has changed a little, like a few times along those years. I went to be from being the social media content creator and the session live streaming strategy, producing all the strategy, to being the community manager now for the online forums, and also managing VMware Explorer yearly or booth or area there. Of course, always with our whole team, having each one of them has their own collaboration there. Everybody does a lot, but managing the whole space and all the process has been a great experience. And of course, managing curating and selection is a big part of this role, as you mentioned here. And it has been a little bit of a wild ride, I would say, with all the acquisition and everything, but the experience of being in contact with community daily, listening what are their needs, what's exciting them for, what's they're expecting for next year, or expecting from us, how can we help and make this communication between the community and the company better, and make both of parts take the most of and the best of it. It has been really pleasant, and that what makes me grow and drives me a lot, the communication with the community. Yeah.
Well, and I know you go underappreciated sometimes, because we have the team, and I have one-on-ones with team members, and I expect Corey to run VExperts. He does it. I don't have to deal with it, and he does it. And every once in a while there's issue, and we have to deal with it together. Same with you, Julia. You run the content. V Brown Bag wasn't available for us this year at the show, so you just stepped in and recruited content, and we got all the content in and dealt with all that. And I didn't have to deal with any of it. The only time I had to deal with it is when it got escalated up, to my level where there was an issue that we had to go solve, or you needed budget or money or things like that I had to go request for people. But what I really learned the hard way is if you're listening to this podcast, you hear we get guests and we get community guests, and there's always people. When Julia went to Brazil for a vacation, right, over the December break, right, and I had to get guests for the podcast, right. I thought, oh, this will be easy. I'll just, send mail to, we look at dynamic signal. We look at what's trending. I work with Noel on our team, and we see what's trending in social and what's community articles and blog posts and that. And then I just send some invites out going, hey guys, love to have you on Community Pass List. And I got crickets back, right? Like I didn't get anybody to reply. I think I got one guy to reply, right? Saying, well, sure, maybe I will. And then I realized it must be harder than I was expecting it to be, right? To get guests and arrange them. And Julia does all that. So every single guest you've ever listened to, it's Julia in the back end sending out mails. I thought you just sent somebody a mail and they said, sure, and they'd schedule it. But then I realized that no, actually Julia sends out 20 people mail, right? And she gets one or two of them back, and we schedule them on the podcast because people are busy and they're away from their mail. And I didn't understand this. So Julia, thank you for, doing that. But that's to your point of your role now. A lot of what you do is not only manage the VMTN forums, right, that are still going on. Now it's at community.broadcom.com, but building a new landing page for the community forum and all that. You're working on all that, but also you help us curate the community content, right, for either for the podcast itself or for the explore sessions that go on that are always booked and crowded. So that's what you do. So we thought we'd have you on the show today just to talk through what's actually happening in 2025 from the event calendar perspective. So maybe we should start with VMUG. Do we know like there's user cons that we know are happening, and those are always big in region. Maybe we can talk through what the user con schedule is going to look like this year.
We have a slide here with.
Yeah, you have a slide with all. Nice.
Eric created that just for notes. I'm not taking credit. So of course you can find everything on the VMUG page, but we can talk over a little bit here. And Eric, you are the one who knows which one Hawk is going to be available. Who's gonna?
Yeah. So she's been nice enough to share a slide, but we'll just kind of talk through those. So first, they have two forums that we talked about, I think, on a previous show. They actually have they call Top Golf events. What they call the UserCon schedule. So they've got some Top Golf events and that's kind of fun because they just have it if you've ever been to Top Golf, you go there, they have clubs and you shoot at targets, from a kind of like batting cages, but they're golf cages, and it's all computerized and computer scores. They got beer and food and sodas, and you kind of have an event. So they take over a Top Golf in a region and they invite everybody to that, and you get to play free golf. If you've ever played Top Golf, it's fun. It's expensive, so it's kind of get it for free. And then they have vendor booths there, so they got those. So I think the next one that's happening is March 6th, and then Top Golf has a conference area that they kind of, they have like two big conference rooms and smaller areas that they have little vendor booths. And so Chris McCain, who does private AI, he's the private AI speaker at VMware now, goes around and talks about private AI. Chris McCain is going to be at Florida March 6th at the UserCon in, I think it's in Orlando, is where that's normally held. So I believe that is the case. So Orlando, you can register for that and show up. You can drive up for the afternoon or for the morning and then stay overnight and do some Disney if you want. But that's going to be Florida, March 6th, with Chris McCain talking AI. So that's going to be a big one. The next Top Golf one, I think, is in Carolina on May 8th. And then let's see, Carolina, May 8th. Denver, May 29th. Atlanta, September 9th. Cincinnati, October 22nd. And rounding up Nashville, the home of the VMUG org, on November 6th. So I think that's what, six or so Top Golfs.
There's
Cincinnati,
one in Dallas.
Oh, I missed Dallas. Sorry. Yeah, Dallas, October 2nd. Chris McCain is thinking about going there. Chris McCain is also thinking about going to Atlanta. So we haven't confirmed him yet, but he is expecting to be there. So AI is going to be a hot topic throughout the year. It's one of our main themes, so expect them to be there. Also, VCF will be represented at all these. The VCF team is funding people to go, so expect some good vSphere presentations happening at these guys as well. So that's Top Golf, right? Then we just have regular user cons. Those are the big event, where you have it usually a conference center that's full on. Those usually target 350 people. So, can be anywhere, like the Netherlands, for instance, that's 550 people. So maybe we should talk Netherlands. Julia, have you ever been to the Netherlands user con?
No, I'd love to, but that would be a great experience. It's happening in March.
Yeah, I think it's the Netherlands has like the the most V experts of any country, right? Like Corey, they're like I think you got comm division out of Netherlands, or maybe they're out of Sweden. I forget which comp, but they all kind of gravitate towards the Netherlands.
Some of our biggest advocates are Netherlands as well.
Right. Yeah. I think Frank Denneman and Duncan Ebbing might be from the Netherlands. Like, they seem to draw a lot.
Yeah, Duncan is.
Yeah, a lot of the experts there. So they're going to be there. Theirs is March 12th. So March 12th in the Netherlands, it's almost like if you're in Europe and you want to do a day trip, or you can do a quick flight in the morning, get one of those cheap airlines, and then do the Netherlands event for the day. The reason is Hawk is going to be there. So Hawk is going to do a fireside chat. So if you want to see Hawk and listen to him talk about community, feel free to do that. I think he's going to be doing an AI brief, right? So people say that VMware had an NVIDIA moment where we announced our earnings and we talked about 2027 projections, and we talked about the AI marketplace. And so I think Hawk is going to try to enlighten everybody on a little bit of AI and what the chip business is doing, and custom silicon for AI spaces. And I think he's going to wrap it back into the data center as well. So that one would be an interesting one to go to, right? Chris McCain is also Joe Bagley. He's our CTO in Europe. Joe's a great guy. He's gonna be there as well. So the heavyweights are all going to be at the Netherlands UserCon, and that UserCon is usually 500 to 600 people. So they're targeting 550 people for that UserCon. So I think that's good. Julia, what else we got going on in
going with the calendar? I can go quickly, Eric. So then we have Philadelphia in March 25th with Chris McCain as well. Germany, we have May 8th with Paul Turner. Then we have
Paul Turner's big. He's VCF, right? So he's a great guy to listen to. So if you're in Germany, that's another great one to go to. Like, they're expecting 300 plus people there with Paul Turner. Paul Turner is just, he knows what's coming in the VCF roadmap. So VCF 9 is going to be out by then, I think, or at least I think it's targeted to be out by then. So that one would be a good one. What else we got? Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay. You're going to go quick, and if you can interrupt, of course, we are just chatting. Toronto is on May 15th, and then we have Denver that's the Top Golf. So in Belgium,
Denver,
on May as well. I don't have the dates on May, but we have one in Belgium in May.
Right.
Boston, September 18, Sweden. In September, October is to be the date. We don't have that yet, but we are having one there in September or October. And then we have in UK in November that we also don't have the dates, but We will put that calendar out there on the social, and we have everything defined. And of course, on the VMUG webpage, you can go check the events there.
Right. So then the other elephant in the room is in end of April. There is April 23rd through the 25th is going to be VMUG Connect. So it's their 2-day event that they're holding in St. Louis. And this is in lieu of, I think, 4 or 5 user cons that would normally have in the Midwest. They've decided to consolidate those user cons into one 2-day event that will bring in more people, because the user cons are getting spread out and thin and thinly represented from our own company as well as the user base. So they collapse those into a 2-day for fee event. I think the price is like $400 for 2.5 days. I think it's going to be like 2.5 days. It's going to start on the 22nd. 23rd, 20, no, the 23rd. Starts on 23rd in the afternoon and goes 23rd, 24th, and 25th. They got some special event in the evening. And that's one that Hawk is going to open as well. So Hawk's going to be there, run a session in St. Louis. So if you also want to get to see Hawk, I think they warn us not to overemphasize the fact that Hawk's going to be places, because, you know, sometimes he gets busy. He runs a $40x billion company. So you never know for sure. But, he is talking about definitely Netherlands, definitely the Connect event in St. Louis. So expect that. Plus, everybody else is expected to be Krish, who is the SVP that runs VCF, will be there. Paul Turner will be there. So there's going to be a lot of heavyweights that will go to the Connect event. The strategy of the Connect event is to have deeper dive content. So 300 level courses, right, that are talking about, you know, if you're NSX, you know, how do you do the virtual switch? What's the zones? How do you lay out zones? You know, deeper dive on debugging zone traffic, things that are like not just, oh, here it is, here's the features, but actually a deeper dive, kind of 300 level content for the St. Louis VMUG Connect. And people ask me, what's the difference between Explore and Connect in April? Well, one thing is the price and the availability. 2 days only for $400. You get 2.5 days for $400. It's local to that region, and then also it's intended to be a deeper dive. So there will be less executives doing high level feature sets, less executive meetings, less executive focus, more focus on the IT practitioner who's a senior IT practitioner that, you know, wants to deep dive on the content. So I think that's the difference. Also, it's a VMUG run event, so they're going to have more community activity, some leadership training, how to run a chapter meeting, how to find your local chapter, excitement around chapter activities. And so the look and feel of this event should be much more deep dive, much more community oriented. So looking forward to that, and some community content as well, right? So, and we're going to try to be there for code, do a code lab there, so that, you know, we can kick off how to build 2025, kick off early, how to get a private AI on top of VCF, on top of a NUC. So Corey, even though I said, oh, we're going to just try to put VCF on the NUC, we're also looking at, okay, not only do you put VCF on the NUC, that's straightforward. We should all be able to do that. But then what does it mean to support private AI in that environment? And the reality is, well, NUCs don't have GPUs. So that's one thing, right? Like, so if you're building out an environment to manage your GPUs, what exactly does that look like? And my answer is, well, you get your Windows gaming machine, right, that does have a GPU in it, and then, you know, you plug that into VCF so that you can that's one of your machines that you're I don't know, like we don't know how that's going to work yet, but we got to assume that, you know, if you look at private AI and you look at VCF, that VCF is connecting to other compute nodes that have GPUs available, right? And you can actually get a gaming machine and put 2 GPUs in it if you want, and then you should be able to connect that to your VCF instance and let your private AI manage those 2 GPUs in your gaming machine, right? So
Right.
everybody has a gaming machine at home. So if you have your home lab and you have a gaming machine, then there's theoretically a way to do this. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So should be interesting. So I know they're looking at the content calendar. Julia, I don't think they're doing a call for content for VMUG Connect this year. I think that's mostly internal. You haven't seen anything about that, right?
Not on social. Maybe it's a good question for us to ask Jean, and we can come back with if she has to confirm 100%. But I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing one. I think they're organizing content based from BUs, right? And maybe some VMUG leaders are going to have some sessions for again, content around focused on VMUG. But that's all I know right now. I don't think it's going to be an open call, which then gets us to Explore, right? Which we are going to do call for papers, right? And so have we heard like what the timeline is going to look like for call for papers this year? I would assume that they'll probably open it up in March, like they always do, March or April. March usually.
April, probably beginning of April. We don't have also the date yet. Of course, you'll keep the community updated on that. We're always with our social channels. So the VMware community events Twitter account, we always updating everybody there. So when we have it, we will make it available. So,
I know that there was a lot of confusion last year about submitting a community talk and getting a badge, right? And getting a conference pass, right? What was the problem there, and what are we going to do?
I think last year what happened was the communication. I think establishing a better communication between the events team and the session, the community, the speakers. It's one of our goals for this year because we had some general message for speakers who would be approved for breakout sessions. It came with a pass, but when they were approved for a community session or a code session, some code sessions, like we have a few passes for them, but not all, not for the 40 sessions. And that caused a little bit of confusion because a lot of our community members assumed that with the approval would come a pass, and that was not communicated directly. What caused us a lot of drop off, like 2 or 3 weeks before Explore. So we had to run and go reach out to our community that were coming to the VMware Explorer, who already confirmed that they already had a pass. They wanted to present to fill those slots. That's one of our action items for these years, is establish a better communication about passes. And of course,
You know where I think that is that last year was the first year that V Brown Bag didn't organize the community sessions. We had the V Brown Bag, Alistair got out of the business and didn't get sponsorship or funding to run V Brown Bag recordings at Explorer. So we took that over. We still want to have community sessions. So the event team offered up having community sessions be registered just through the regular call for papers mechanism as a category called community. So when people were in the paper submission, they just thought all of these were the same, and they selected the community topic expecting that if they got a session they would get a pass. And it wasn't clear, even though they had it in small print at the bottom of the submission, that if you're doing a community session it doesn't get a pass. People didn't notice that, and because previous years we always just went through V Brown Bag, everybody knew that if you got a V Brown Bag session, it didn't come with a pass, and they made it very clear. Where when we merged that, submission process into the Explore process, it got confused and lost. So we had probably half the people that submitted a session didn't get a pass and then had to drop out because they weren't getting passes, right? I think that was why. So now that we know that, and we're going to still do the submissions ourselves, V Brown Bag is not, I don't think, ever coming back. Then we will, we'll have to make sure it's clear that you don't get a pass if you're doing a 20-minute quick talk in the community booth, right?
As far for now, we don't. Of course, we always want to work within budget and see if we can get some passes extra for the
that's the next thing.
But we cannot be happy.
Yeah, and we did ring fence some significant money this year to, increase community participation at Explore. So hopefully, I can't commit to whether we'll be able to community sessions will get passes or not, but I know that we have ring fenced, some serious money to make sure that more community people get at the show. It could be that we give community passes, it could be that we just give discount to anybody that's from VMUG or something a little, we're not sure how that's going to roll out yet. And we'll make some decisions in January, late January, early February. We'll probably come up with some decisions. So that'll be good. And we'll let everybody know once we know what we're doing there. The event team has promised to come back to us in January, February, and let us know what they're thinking. So I think that'll be fine. Other events that are going on, there is a CTEX event. For a lot of you that don't know, CTEX is a technical event that is invite only, but it's kind of open invite. They're going to have about 100, I think, available positions at the St. Louis event. They're going to do a CTEX event, which will run on the 23rd. So that Wednesday, remember I said it might be a 3-day event. That is committed. VMUG is going to then help host the CTEX event, which is all level 300 content, right? So there is a opening keynote where they will have a heavy duty community member that runs VCF come speak on a topic, whether it's Duncan Epping or William Lamb or somebody else. We don't know who they're going to recruit yet, but I know they're going to recruit a technical heavyweight that runs the product to come in, do a keynote, and talk about what it means and where the products are going and what it means. Then they have I think 2 different tracks throughout the day. One VCF, another one Tanzu Modern Applications, Area Automation, ARIA and Agile Operations, and then they're going to do some panels on AI, security. So they got good sessions all day where they're going to try to drill down on topics, ransomware recovery, disaster recovery, ransomware recovery tactics, things that are a little bit 300 level harder to understand. So that's CTEX event that's happening, and they are recruiting community members to be part of that. And I think there's a limited number of seats for that. I want to say 50 to 100. If you're going to be at the VMUG Connect conference in St. Louis, end of April, then the 23rd of April, this is going on. Look for a way to get into that if you're so inclined. Should be another good event that's happening throughout the year. So that's CTEX, and then they do run CTEXs at Explore as well. So in 2024, they didn't run any CTEXs. So this is because we got acquired and everybody was getting used to what was happening at a Broadcom. Now that everybody's gotten used to it and budgets are healthy and VMware is growing, the division had a great response. So from a business perspective, we're growing again. So we're spinning back up CTEXs, which is nice. Then there's CTABs. There's going to be CTABs in Europe this year. So that's an expansion. So if you really look at the numbers to engage our audience has increased by about 30% this year between more user cons and the customer connect, VMUG Connect that's happening, and CTABs that are happening. They're going to roll out CTABs. They're having a US one. So if you're interested in being a CTAB member, reach out to me. We are recruiting customers to be part of the CTAB, which is Customer Technical Advisory Board, where all the BUs, about 100 BU people, come in and work with the customers to listen to what they have to say, what features they need, and they go off and they implement those features. So CTAB is happening in America, in the US, in Palo Alto office this year. I think I don't know what the date is, but I think it's in April. It's coming up. So they're looking for new CTAB members. So if you are interested in providing information, I believe you have to pay for your own travel. So it's come be part of the 3-day event. on Palo Alto campus, and engage with the senior BU leadership on product direction. And they are looking for additional community member, customer member participants. I think they have like 100 companies right now, and they'd like to get additional people in. They'd like some new blood into the environment. So if you're listening to this and you want to give feedback, that possibly is a way to happen. They're also running CTABs throughout APJ this year. So 2025, they're spinning up, I think, 4 additional CTABs in the Asian countries. And don't make me say which Asian countries they'll be covering, but that's in the second half of the year. So sometime between July, August through November, they are going to be running CTABs throughout APJ. And so look for that in your country if you're interested in participating. Those will be smaller forums, like maybe 20 to 50, but go take a look at that and reach out if you're interested in being part of that. So that's CTAB, that's VMUG Connect, and that's Explore. There is no Explore in Barcelona this year, right? So nothing there, right? But they are going to announce Explore throughout the Europe region. That's what I've been told, but I don't know what that looks like yet. We haven't made any announcements on that, but they're supposed to, the event team is supposed to get back to us in February as well, late January, early February, to talk about what the European Explore calendar is going to look like, right? Have we heard anything on that yet, Julia?
No, we don't have yet the calendar or the location exactly. So you're also excited to hear that.
Yeah,
about
I haven't heard
the
anything either.
details.
And I know that there will be stuff because I should talk closer to the microphone, I guess, because they've allocated budget in my spreadsheet for Europe, right? Explore Europe, right? So the same budget that we would normally have had for Barcelona is now in our budget calendar for Explore Europe, but we just don't know how we're going to spend that yet. Like, and which regions and what countries. They're going to be 1 country, 3 countries. They have not told us, so we will find that out.
I have guesses, but I don't want to risk here. I prefer wait for the right information. But we can talk.
You might know better than us, right? Because you get exposed a little bit more than that. I know we've also had some brainstorming on how to involve community at the, at Explore Vegas this year. Like, going to be doing some different stuff there, so that'll be good. So, Julia, to close up on the content calendar, like we expect sessions to need to be recruited sometime in April, right? We expect maybe some funding to help people, come to the event.
For passes allocation, of course, we are always working to have help support the community to get involved in different ways. And we know that VMware Explore can be costly. So if you can help at least on the pass allocation or partially, that's one goal that we are trying to achieve here. Of course, no promises because we try to do our best, but we have also our limitations. This is one thing. And VMware Explore Barcelona, we're waiting on those dates, confirmation on the dates and locations. For VMware Explore Vegas, there are some changes for this year. Of course, we are always listening to the community and trying to improve the experience, giving a better space where they can interact better and have. So we have a few items that I can go quickly. One is the VMUG space. We're trying to change that a bit, give them a bigger space. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about that yet, or because it's not.
I think anybody that's on that list of things that we talked about, we can certainly share here. Yeah, that was one of them. Is like VMUG struggled last year from a budget perspective on how to, because the partner sponsorship had dried up because of the Broadcom acquisition. Partner ecosystem has gotten their act together now. There is more money from the partners, and so we expect VMUG to be better funded this year. They already are seeing that, so that's good. And then that means that they should have, we want to give them a bigger space in the expo hall. We funded for them last year because they didn't have enough funding themselves. We gave them a spot in the community area, which was great. Now we're thinking a bigger booth right outside the community area. So we're all one big area now, which would be great. So looking forward to that.
Also, on another item for me was the swag. Swag. When we had a system where it was a bit overwhelming, I would love to have more time to interact more with the community, with more mindful conversations, and we did. We always do, of course. But I think being in charge of the whole team of delivering those swags, having to go back and look sizes, we're changing that a little bit easier. We're not handling us personally. The community will have some tasks that they will have to accomplish to get the swag, something simple. We don't want to, but we are not handling that personally. We're going to have an brand ambassador to handle the swag once you show that you have completed your task. We are thinking about you get some involvement in the community, subscribe or watch a session about community. We are discussing that on a way where the community can get involved, get their swags without we have to be all the time hands-on on just handing those items for the community. But
Cool.
yeah, swags is
Right.
always a hot topic.
Well, it should be a good event season this year, right? And if you haven't, reach out to your local VMUG chapter and figure out how you can get a session, and not only just do a session for Explore or potentially, a user con, but also like your local chapter meeting, right? Like we are working heavily on improving chapter experiences. So we've looked at, I think, 20 different chapters that have gone silent in a given year. We've gotten VMUG to allow VMware employees to help contribute to chapters if the chapters have been quiet or defunct for a year or so. We're now allowed to apply employees to the problem, right? So in previous years, employees were banned from doing anything at a VMUG chapter meeting, right? We're allowed to attend, we're allowed to sit and listen like everybody else, but we weren't allowed to help, right? So for instance, the Bay Area chapter meetings here in Silicon Valley could use a new leader. Well, I reached out and said, hey, look, I'm in the Bay Area. I'll help, right? I got a lot of content I could show up with, and we just have fun, right? And I was told no, I'm not allowed to do that because I'm a VMware employee, which is fair. I understand why they want to keep me out of that, from a leadership, because otherwise it'll just become more of VMware. But now this year we're going to let that happen as we rebuild. We've also ring fenced, a couple $100,000 to help chapters spin back up, and so we're directly financing. We actually have a Google URL that allows VMUG leaders to ask for additional budget from us directly. And so we're willing to help fund, a couple thousand here or there to get a chapter back in business, right? So we're doing some of that. So if you do have sessions that you are working on, think about your local chapter and see how you can reach out to your local chapter and do a presentation, right? And get community back in the chapter meetings. So know that we are looking at that. We are trying to provide funding directly to chapters. I've heard that many times when getting feedback from VMUG, like, how are we giving funding to chapters, and how much does Innovatus, who runs VMUG.com and the VMUG org, how are they giving chapter support? And the complaint has always been there's never been a lot of direct funding to chapter leaders. They always have to go get their own sponsors. So we are ring-fencing some money to, help chapters, and then we also are encouraging people to develop content. The VCF division, Michael Roy, has also been working hard at getting content out to chapter leaders, and he's targeting X number of big chapters that he could get VCF speakers to show up to your chapter meeting. So again, a lot of opportunity. If you're building content, you're thinking about submitting a paper to Explore, also think about your local VMUG chapter meeting, because we are spending time there as well. That's all I got, Julie. Anything else?
I just want to end with a note that we're incredibly excited for 2024. Not only for there's two aspects in the community that I like to say. One is the VM10 forums online, our online community. I can't wait for relaunching one place to go for everything VMware, our programs, betas, education, flings, and our forums about the products. We'll be there all one page. I can't wait for that launching. On the digital aspect, on the physical aspect, I used to say that's explore, when everybody comes together and you see those faces that we're interacting the whole year online. So yeah, a lot of new things, good things coming. We know that any restructuration were made in last year, so this year we expect just stabilization and enjoying this great momentum that's coming for VMware Explore
So
and VM10 community.
Tony Foster, I just looked at the chat. Sorry, I missed all that. Those are great comments. I appreciate all the things. Sorry, I had the window shut. But as long as we're here, you got any V barbecue? We're near the end of the show here, so we got to ask about barbecue. I did some barbecue. Have you gotten to do some barbecue up in the snow?
I have gotten to do some barbecue out in the snow.
What did you do?
Yes. So to kick off New Year's and kick it off right, I did some KC strip steaks on January 2nd, grilled those in about 20-degree weather. And here on Sunday, I smoked a pork butt.
Ooh, nice. How did it turn out? Those are hard to do. Did it turn out good?
It didn't turn out as well as the ones I normally do. I think it may have been an older one that was hanging out in my freezer that I didn't know about.
Yeah. All right. So that's reasonable. That's reasonable. I had ribs in the freezer. I had put a slab of ribs, just same as you. I had it left in the freezer and kind of forgot about it. So I pulled them out and I put Mr. Stubbs and some other barbecue rub on them. Let that sit overnight, and then I smoked them for 6 hours. I did the 3-2-1. And here's one thing I would say is, I never really paid attention, and Corey would shoot me for this. I never really did the foil wrap thing at the end of 3, right? You're supposed to be 3 hours at 225, and then
2 is foil.
Yeah, step 2
is foil.
Is the foil, and then the last hour open up and kind of put some barbecue sauce on them and crisp them up a little bit. This time I did the foil. And man, when I opened up the foil after the second 2 hours, they were so wet and juice and moist and yummy that I realized that I had been messing up for all these years, right? Like, you got to do the foil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it trapped the steam in there or something. Like it almost like steamed them along the way.
Steams it, and it keeps that fat in there as well.
Yeah, the fat and the drippy oil, and I was amazed. I wanted to pour that stuff in a cup and drink it, right? Like the drippings, the drippings from that foil unwrap was really good.
Did you use apple juice, or what kind of liquid did you use?
When I put it in the foil, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. So next time, put in some apple juice about halfway up the ribs, and
in the foil.
In the foil, yeah.
Oh.
So it'll actually steam that apple juice
into the ribs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'll do that. And then I also took a piece of steak and smoked it for 6 hours as well, just because I had an extra piece of steak in the freezer. So I defrosted it and stuck it in the smoker. And you know what I got out of that steak?
Beef jerky.
I got beef jerky. That's right. Which was fine. It was I had put a rub on it, and it was rubbed, and so I got yummy dry beef jerky that I slowly been eating. I ate this week, right? Like slowly pieces of now and then. Yeah.
So Eric, what you should do with the drippings, because this is one of my favorite things to do with drippings when I smoke, is hang on to the drippings and turn it into gravy at the end. You can either turn it into gravy or turn it into regular sauce.
So you just take some water with the drippings and what? Chicken broth or something, or what do you use for the liquid besides the drippings?
Apple juice is my personal favorite for that, especially when you're dealing with pork.
Okay, apple juice and drippings, and make it with some cornstarch or something, or flour, a little bit of flour, a little apple juice, and barbecue drippings to make a nice barbecue gravy.
Yes.
Another simple option, Eric, we like to do with the drippings. We just throw some potatoes in a baker with the drippings and put in the oven for 1 hour. And then when you take it, those potatoes absorb all the dripping flavor. And then
Yeah.
Ooh,
You know,
yes.
a friend, an old girlfriend, her mom would take same thing, beef drippings, and she would take pasta, and she would boil some pasta and then mix the drippings with the pasta, and put it in the oven for a little bit, and then that was also very good. So pasta with the drippings. So you're right, you can just potato with drippings and pasta with drippings, same kind of principle. Put it in a pot and let it stew for a little bit. That's a good idea. I wasted it, and when I was like, "What do I do with this drip? This is amazing!" I open up that bottle. I'd never done that, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this smell! I just want to eat it." It's like so good. It smells so yummy, and the ribs were so moist. Like usually my ribs are dry, and I put jerk sauce on them, and so they kind of remind you of spare ribs a little bit by the time I'm done with my ribs. They're amazing. My ribs are always really good, but this was just a different animal when you wetted them like that, right? It was definitely different. So fun times, fun barbecue report for sure. Back with a guest next week because Julia Klaus is recruiting people. If you want to be on the podcast, reach out to Julia Klaus, and we're always looking at what people are writing, what articles are writing, what VExperts are doing, and then we'll invite you on and talk to you about what's happening. And I tell you what, guys, I feel a lot smarter now that I have been through all the VCF training. I can actually understand, what a network switch is and what a virtual switch is and what a zone is and, how you would set up. I'm actually, I'm actually surprised that the NSX is actually simpler than I thought, and vSAN is actually simpler than I thought. I thought it would be super hard to understand, but actually it's not. There's a lot of little details in it, but I'm actually excited about it, and so should you. If you've never played with vSAN and NSX or done the training, getting your VCP-VCF certification, you should do it. I'm doing it. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It's kind of like Corey being back in the office. I didn't expect it to be fun, but it actually really is. Yep.
And we're excited for we have a new co-host starting next week.
Oh, really? Did he confirm that he's going to be our?
I want to correct.
Did he confirm? Yes or no?
I don't know if yes, we have information.
Yeah, no, we can talk about it. So announce away. You're the one that recruited him.
And bring everybody to the next episode next week. But yes, we have a new co-host. Eric, if you want to tell who is it?
No, you say it. Announce it.
We have Bob Plunkers starting as a co-host, which he's always welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is fantastic. We have been missing Matt Lungeth for, he dropped out on Omnissa like back in June, July of last year. He never actually said, "Hey, Eric, I'm quitting." So we kind of left it open for a while to see if he maybe would come back and be part of the show again. And we like having marketing plus a heavy tech guy. And even though I'm now starting to be a little bit heavier tech and that I can at least now know the whole product set and all the pieces to it, and I'm going to run it in home lab and play with it all, it's like having a guy like Bob Planker join the community podcast. So we've always had Michael Laverick or Michelle Laverick at the time. She was on for a long time. We had I can't remember the guy's name after
Amy. And then
Ryan
Johnson. Thank you.
Yes.
It was Michelle Laverick, then Ryan Johnson, then Smith, the black guy that started doing the. He brought. I can't remember his name now. Only because but it was John Smith. Is it John?
Yes.
John Smith, which is such a generic name that you think you're making that up. But no, John Smith, and he did the Color of the Bay report because he used to drive over the Bay Bridge every morning to come on Wednesday for the podcast because he worked remotely back then. And so he would come into the studio in Palo Alto to do the podcast, and he'd drive over, and he started the Color of the Bay report, right? And so we've continued that. And then after John Smith left, then it was Matt Lungeth. And then Matt left last summer, and we didn't have anybody, and we just kind of getting used to. First, we weren't sure any of us were going to have jobs with the Broadcom acquisition, so we didn't go crazy looking for a new guest. And then we did get a job, and everybody was there, but then Matt resigned, and then we've had no technical co-hosts for the last 6 months. So having him join is going to be fantastic. Bob Plumk is really, really fun to talk with. So this should be a fun podcast to listen to, guys. If you made it to this far, thanks to the end. We'll see you again next week. Until then, go get yourself some barbecue and have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.